All right, it says I'm live. Should be live. There's one person here, so that must mean I actually am live. Whoa. At nearly 7 in the evening. Usually don't do streams this late, but today I had to go shopping with my uncle. He dislocated his shoulder some months ago, so I had to help him out with grocery shopping. And this isn't me complaining. Ew, I gotta go help my uncle instead of lying in my bed streaming. Of course not, but certain things take priority over less important matters. Like what I just said, lying on your bed and streaming. Anyway, but yeah, that's why I'm streaming right now as opposed to when I usually stream, which is, around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Whatever. I don't think anyone really cares. I mean, maybe I'll see some more people here than usual because I know sometimes at the end of my live streams, people flock on in and they say, "Oh, I just got off from work. I can watch you now." When I'm only streaming for like maybe another 10 minutes at most. So we'll see. Anyway, you probably don't care about this preamble, do you? I see there's some people in the chat, so why don't I interact with those people in the chat finally? Hello, We Greatness. Hello, Dylan. Hello, Robert. Had a feeling you'd stream today. Yeah, I woke up and I was like, you know what? Instead of making a video today, why don't I stream? One, I don't have any ideas for a video today, so it was either stream or just don't record a video. But then, like I said, my uncle said he wanted to go shopping, and we usually do shopping on Fridays, which obviously impedes with my streams. But again, whatever. I only stream once a month, so it's not that big of a deal. Speaking of uncles, my other uncle who had a stroke back in July, um, he's living with us again. He was let out of the facility he was in for the past, ever since August, um, late January. So we're taking care of him now. It's we have a health aide that's actually here in the house right now with him, and it's probably going to be with him for another hour and a half or so. She usually leaves around 8:30. So it's bittersweet having him back home. He's in a familiar environment again, and he's been noticeably happier ever since he was um, let out of the facility, and he's living here again. So that's good, but at the same time, it's been a hassle for us. I'm not going to say a burden because that would be too harsh. And of course, his family. He's been living with us ever since around 2008, 2009. He's my uncle, so obviously it's no burden to take care of family you care about. But that's what's been going on for these last few weeks with me. I don't believe I've shared that anywhere. I don't think I've said that in any videos or mentioned that in my Discord server. At least, again, I don't think. I've been sick since the first, but today is the best I've felt. Well, that's good. I haven't been sick in a very long time, not since November of 2022. That was when I went to a birthday party for one of my uncles on my father's side of the family. Well, he's not my uncle by blood. He married my aunt, so that's how he's related to me. I knew him since I was a little kid, and he was always really fun. It was nice getting back in contact with him too, ever since I started talking to my father again some years ago. It was his 60th, and that was a fun day, but a lot of people on my father's side of the family are anti-vax Trumpers, so a lot of those people don't care about hygiene or health, and I obviously caught a very bad fever from one of the people there. Uh, thank God it wasn't COVID. It was just again a really awful fever that I contracted there. I've somehow managed to dodge COVID for 5 years now, or nearly 5 years since it came here to the states. I don't know how I've done it. Well, actually, I do know how I've done it. I'm a fucking shut in. I don't go out unless I need to, or I'm getting high. So that's my trick. If you're crippled with anxiety like me and you don't go out, then you're probably less likely to catch COVID. See, being a shut in can come in clutch sometimes. I forgot that you'd stream this month. Well, I stream at least once a month, so I don't know why you wouldn't think I'd stream this month. Been feeling better today. That's good. Haven't been feeling sick at all since I got the flu vaccine last month. Yeah, make sure you're up to date with all of your vaccines because, likely going to get RFK at the head of Health and Human Services, anti vax nut. But that's what most of this country voted for, or at least most of the voters in this country who participated in the 2024 election voted for in November. I would say they reap what they sow, but unfortunately, that implicates everyone in this country, including those who didn't vote for the fascist. I woke up at 1 a.m. on the 1st and felt the oncomings of a cold and couldn't sleep. My thoughts were going crazy. A few months ago, around September or October, I remember waking up. It was like 10 in the morning, which I'm usually dead asleep at that time. I think it was a panic attack I was having. I had thoughts that were racing at what felt like a million miles per hour. My heart was beating really quickly. And it just came out of nowhere. I was sleeping, and then all of a sudden, I just felt this awful sensation. Again, I assume it was probably a panic attack that just sprung on in the middle of my sleep, I guess. Hopefully, I can get the COVID vaccine in the future once I move out of my mom's house. Well, aren't you a grown adult? You can get the vaccine on your own accord. Well, I'm up to date on all my COVID shots, thankfully. Because my mom won't let me get the vaccine. Well, yeah, again, aren't you like 20 years old? You don't need a you don't need your parents' permission to get a vaccine at this point in your life. Yeah, I've also been listening to a song called Ultra Numb by Blue Stali. Never heard of them. Never heard of the song either. I should get into more artists. I say this all the time, but it's true. I I really just stick to what I like listening to. I don't really broaden my horizons as much as I should. I had a friend on Discord who was getting me into some music. We would trade off albums. He would listen to an album I would recommend him, and I would listen to an album he would recommend me. But he has been MIA since like October, so yeah, probably won't be doing that um, with him for a while since he likes to disappear for like 2 years. Yep, I'm 21 years old. Birthday was 2 months ago and 2 days ago. Oh, happy belated. My birthday is in a little over a month from now, on March 20th. Do I have anything planned? No. It'll be my 24th. Oof, felt like yesterday I turned 20 years old. Felt like yesterday I turned 18. I remember the midnight I turned 18. I was like, wow, I'm a legal adult now. I can vote. I can legally have sex. Yeah, I've been totally taking advantage of that. The latter thing these last almost 6 years now. Hi, I love your videos. Thank you. I always appreciate when people compliment my content. You should also listen to Code Orange. I mentioned them in the last stream. LOL. Uh, well, I don't even remember what was discussed in the last stream. That was like what, over a month ago now. I'm sorry if I promised to listen to that band and never got around to it. I've been listening to female grunge rock bands such as Garbage and others. I've heard of Garbage. It's always been a funny band name uh, to me. What are you listening to? Oh, I'm listening to Garbage. Why would you listen to music that you think is garbage? No, it's the band name. My 25th birthday was last week. Oh, happy birthday. Happy belated birthday. You're a year older than me. I remember there was a time where I thought the 1986 in your username was actually your birth year. I know you told me it wasn't, but that's what I thought for the longest time. I'll be 22 in April. Crazy because I still remember some of my 10th birthday. I remember my 10th birthday. Well, it wasn't my 10th. It wasn't on the day of my 10th birthday. It was my 10th birthday party, which I think was a day before my actual birthday. We had a big party. I invited, a bunch of my cousins, a bunch of my friends. That was a lot of fun. Back when I socialized with people. I remember it was a Mario themed party. God, I remember being so hyped for that birthday party, and again, that ended up being a really, really fun day. It was also the last big birthday party that was ever thrown for me. All my birthdays after that were just low key, and these days I'm not really a big party person, or at least when it comes to parties centered around me, so I'm fine with not having any big birthday event or anything like that. I prefer just, having some cake and opening some presents, and then that's it. That's all I do on my birthdays. Aside from that, my birthdays are just any other day. I fear for the future of this country, don't we all? Unless you voted for the fascists. Um, yeah, I mean, current events have just been bleak as fuck. There's like no good news that comes out anymore. I've tuned a lot of it out. I mean, I talk about politics a lot on this channel. I mean, I've said it before. I like making political videos, but when it comes to watching political content, I've scaled back on that a lot. I haven't been watching nearly as much Vosh and Kyle Kalinske and Majority Report like I usually do, or like I did before um, November. Because it's just tiring keeping up with all the bleak shit going on in this country. I know that's probably like a privileged thing of me to say because there are plenty of people in this country who are at the direct receiving end of all these awful policies going on. But it's just tiring to keep up with. You know, it's awful for my mental health. I don't like constantly reading about how you know awful the trajectory of this country is. So I just, distract myself. I watch some gaming videos or I play games. I'm playing Wind Waker on my GameCube. Still my favorite Zelda game. That's been a nice escape. But yeah, I mean, aside from talking about politics, which honestly is a release for me, it makes me feel a little better after recording videos talking about the bleak shit going on in this country. I don't really watch much political content or read as many articles as I was previously. Where the fuck did I leave off? Here. I've heard of Garbage, funny name. Yeah, again, it makes it sound like you're listening to music you don't like, which I guess maybe was the intention. Probably just like a silly band name I came up with. I remember going to Universal Studios for my 15th birthday. Um, the last time I went to an amusement park was going to Coney Island when I was like 15. Rode on a roller coaster. I think it was the Cyclone. That was fun. Well, half fun and half horrifying. It was my first time riding a roller coaster, actually, and yeah, I mean, again, I had fun, but at the same time, I was shitting my pants. But that I think that's the usual roller coaster experience. Only thing I did for my birthday last year was going to a KFC up the road and getting chicken strips from there. I haven't had KFC in probably 2 months at least. It's usually my mom who brings home a bucket of KFC for the rest of us to eat. Finger licking good. I also fear for the future of this country. I'm trying to watch more videos from the political channels I watch, such as Vosh and Majority Report. You're the opposite of me then, because again, I it's just too mentally draining. I mean, I still watch Vosh and Majority Report and throw in Kyle Kalinske and Humanist Report in there. But it's the same thing every video. This country is on an awful trajectory. Everything is bleak. Things are only going to get even worse. I mean, I especially hear that rhetoric from Vosh. One of his segments, he was like, "This is the rest of your life. Get ready for everything to be shit." When I mean that probably is most likely the case, but hearing that on a day-to-day basis does nothing but damage my mental health. So again, I've been scaling back how much political content I've been watching personally. Got a Discord notification. What the fuck is this? Server lockdown due to PSN outage from the PlayStation Discord. Due to an apparent outage of PlayStation Network and a huge surge of users, we had to temporarily lock. Okay, whatever. Not playing on PlayStation right now, and I don't play online games, so whatever. If PSN is down, oh well. Yeah, the news can be mentally draining. That's why I don't keep up with it that much. Same. What are your thoughts on Steve Shives? He's alright, I guess. I mean, I don't watch him a whole lot. He's more of a progressive leaning liberal, right? Because I always felt his videos cheered on the Dem establishment a little too much. Or at least I think that's at least I think that's what he does in his videos. Not a complete Democrat Party cheerleader, but still a little libby for my tastes. But maybe that's a mischaracterization of his content. I don't know. I don't watch him a whole lot. I remember being on the whole fuck Steve Shives bandwagon back in 2016 when TJ and a whole bunch of anti SJW channels were making videos on him. I remember I tweeted at Steve Shives a couple of times with the intention of getting blocked, and then I eventually got blocked, and I wore that as a badge of honor. So fucking stupid looking back at that. I mean, Steve Shives, he's not that bad of a person. I hardly know anything about him. I feel incredibly bad for the Palestinian people in Gaza. I mean, yeah, it's going to be horrible for them. I know Trump is publicly walking back his statement on the U.S. Overtaking Gaza, but I wouldn't take his word for anything. More than likely, his staffers are like, Yeah, you probably shouldn't reveal our true plans out in the open like that. And scale back your rhetoric just a little bit. That's probably what he's doing. I remember watching the Steve Shives video, Why I Hate Kids. He made a video about not liking kids based. It's always so frustrating. I see this as a retort a lot towards people like me who say they don't like children. I think I've gotten some comments like this under my video about why I don't like children. Hating children is not a personality type. No one cares that you don't like children. Okay, I'm not fucking pointing a gun to your head to watch my fucking video. And no shit, it's not a personality trait. I made one video about why I don't like kids. What, 7 years ago now? However old that video is. I mean, it's kind of frustrating because pretty much, at least in my experience, from since you're a little kid, it's drilled into your head. You gotta have kids someday. You gotta meet that special someone someday and have children with them. It's pounded into your head over and over again since from essentially childhood. And I'm still, told from time to time, oh, I gotta have kids. Apparently, my father's name dies with me, so that means I gotta have children. Again, people tell you all the time that about the importance of having children. One of the major political parties in this fucking country is obsessed with, you know, essentially making its entire populace, essentially denigrating females down to just being baby making factories. But the moment you say I don't want kids, I find kids annoying, you get hit with how cruel you're a cruel person. Not liking kids is not a personality trait. And I'm like, no shit. No shit, it's not a personality trait. I'm just tired of constantly being told that I need to have a fucking kid when I have no desire to have a kid. Maybe stop drilling this bullshit into my head and I won't talk about it. Anyway, rant over. Kanye West has been ranting about nonsense all day on Twitter. Isn't he saying that he's a Nazi and he's Jesus or whatever? I haven't been looking at any of that. Which, I mean, maybe I should be. Now, what am I saying? I shouldn't be looking at that. And I was gonna say maybe that'll be good video material, but honestly, I don't give a shit. I made a video about Kanye being a Nazi a few years ago anyway. I mean, the signs have been there for at least, what, 2 years now? I hate going on a roller coaster because I'm afraid of heights. Um, I wouldn't say heights are my biggest fear, but yeah, going up that roller coaster and then just descending down. Yeah, it was frightening for me. That time I went on I think it was the cyclone at Coney Island. It was frightening, quite frankly. I don't know if I'll ever ride a roller coaster again. I mean, I'm glad I did it, but I don't know if it's something I'd want to do again. I've been on a roller coaster before at King's Dominion called the Rebel Yell. She cried more, more, more. And I ended up hitting my face by accident. Ooh, thankfully I didn't get injured. It was just two light hits. What did you hit your face on? That could have been real. Hitting your face on a roller coaster against something on a roller coaster at that speed could have been way worse. Or were you just bumped forward and you hit your head on the cart? Your video about kids was made in August 2019. Oh, 2019. I thought it was 2018. It's been a while since I watched that video, but I like going into the comment section sometimes and just seeing all the other people lament about not wanting kids. It's kind of cathartic. Though sometimes I do get the occasional psychotic person saying they want to harm kids or they want to see children hurt, and I usually remove those comments because fuck that shit. That's part of the frustration of not of talking about not liking kids online. You sometimes attract people like that. And of course, there are the people who got angry at me in the comments saying, "How could you not like kids? They're so innocent." Yeah, I don't care. I find them annoying personally. I don't hate kids. I just don't want to have kids since being a parent is way too much pressure. I know I would not be able to handle being a father, so I choose not to be a father. I know I'm not equipped for that. My dad wasn't equipped to be a father, frankly, either. He wasn't the greatest father when I was growing up and was around him. Probably as as perhaps ironic as this may be for me to say, he probably would have been better off if he didn't have me, frankly. And that's not me saying I wish I was dead or anything. It's just me saying he's not, you know, he is probably better off not being a father. I think him as more of a friend, frankly, than a father. And I think he's fine with me thinking of him that way. My dad got mad at me for comparing Trump to Hitler. I mean, you have the shadow president doing Z Kyles on inauguration day. At this point, anyone who says there is no parallels between MAGA and the rise of the Nazis in Germany, I have no patience for them. Like I don't know how much more clear cut it has to be for you. I saw a video by a New York magazine about Gen Z kids criticizing gender stereotypes. Yeah, Gen Z is in a bit of a dilemma right now. There's older Gen Z like me who are more progressive leaning, and then there is younger Gen Z who grew up since pretty much from birth with an iPad shoved in their face, and their entire media consumption is TikTok videos and YouTube shorts from like hucksters from Andrew Tate, like Andrew Tate or some shit, telling them that, you need to have control over your woman and promoting racism and just bigotry in general. There's a pretty clear divide between, again, older Gen Z like me and younger Gen Z that's been fed this content since they were little kids essentially. And now those kids born in the late 2000s are voting age now, and yeah, more Gen Z than I would have liked to see ended up voting for Trump, and that's honestly kind of fucking scary. I remember you said a lady on the bus gave you a look after you rolled your eyes after she told her kid to sit next to you. Yeah, I remember that. I think the kid was like jumping around in his seat and acting annoying. And I mean, I didn't say anything. I just kind of rolled my eyes. I was like, I don't want this fucking kid next to me. And yeah, she took notice of that. I hit my face on the bar on my lap. Yeah, again, you're lucky that you didn't sustain any more serious injuries from that or lost a tooth or anything like that. And it's also part of why I'm not a big fan of roller coasters. You hear these horror stories of, the park not really giving that much of a shit about the safety of those who go on their rides. They cut corners because they don't want to spend more on making sure these rides are safe to ride on. I mean, wasn't there a story like 10 years ago, some kid on a roller coaster literally getting fucking decapitated? He flew out of his seat and yeah, um his head was smashed into some bar or whatever. There's pictures of that, not of the kid, but like the fucking ride being covered in blood. You know what's so funny? People brag about LGBT parents being bad parents, yet I don't see them talking about parents who shove an iPad down their face, abusive parents, etc. Because a lot of these people going on this anti-LGBT crusade in the name of protecting the kids don't actually give a shit about protecting kids. I mean, you see these people all the time applauding abuse parents who are abusive towards LGBT youth or LGBT kids, flat out disrespecting their gender or disowning their kid or throwing their kid out of the house because they came out as gay or lesbian or trans or whatever. And then you see these ghouls on Twitter or whatever applauding that shit. It's like you don't fucking care about the safety of these kids. You just want to make your bigotry seem like it's noble by hiding behind this veil of pretending that you care about the safety of kids above all else when it's really not when it really doesn't have shit to do about that. I mean, overwhelmingly, it is agreed upon that um, your mental health dramatically improves when you receive gender affirming care if you have gender dysphoria. So really, the real protect the kid stance is letting LGBT youth live life the way they choose to live life. Allow them to socially transition if they're trans, and again, or and let them express themselves the way they choose to. Yeah, my father was never an ideal father. Yeah, same here. Again, I love my father. I've learned to reconcile with him, but I'm not gonna pretend and say that he was this great father when I was growing up because he wasn't. Some people are better at being just friends than authority figures, and that's my father. I think of him as more of a friend than a father. And again, I'm pretty sure he's fine with that. The scariest roller coaster I've ever been on is Revenge of the Mummy at Universal Studios Florida. It's an indoor roller coaster that's in the dark sometimes and pitch black even and goes really fast. Yeah, I wouldn't ride on that. The more I think about it, the more I hate Emp Lemon. I don't like Emp Lemon either. I mean, he was one of those dudes that normalized right wing extremism. I mean, in one of his videos, wasn't he literally just like Racism is just an idea that we shouldn't take seriously, so therefore we shouldn't pay attention to racists or call them out because everyone knows they're stupid already. Look at how well that line of thinking went. I remember hearing about the Verrucht incident. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation. That happened at Schlitterbahn. I don't know what that is. I remember that too. Again, I don't know exactly what you're referring to. I remember seeing people praising EDP when he came out as a Trump supporter. Really? Have people flipped their opinion on it? It's not like these people really care if someone is a child predator. I mean, child, like a Trump himself. Epstein associate. Epstein himself has said Trump is one of his best friends. Trump, at the very least, has been weirdly permissive of Jeffrey Epstein's taste in young women. I'm surprised he didn't do the whole well, I know he's been a Trump supporter the whole time, but I'm surprised he didn't lean so heavily into that sooner. You know, usually you see fuckheads like Russell Brand. Well, he's been also capitulating to MAGA for a while now, but right when his sexual assault allegations came out, that's when you saw him come out as this born again Christian, and now he's pretending that he's found God and all that shit. Conveniently right after his sexual assault allegations came out. Right wing grifting usually comes in clutch when you have serious allegations come out against you. Speaking of orientation, I realized that I'm asexual since I'm not interested in sex anymore. Well, if you feel you're asexual, then, you do you. I'm more of a romance guy. Who's your favorite SpongeBob character? Probably Squidward, since I feel like I relate to him the most, especially in the recent years. I remember even as a kid, I wasn't a fan of those SpongeBob episodes where Squidward was just treated unnecessarily cruel, or just Squidward got really unfair treatment that he didn't deserve at all in that episode. In certain episodes, I mean. Squidward torture porn, yeah, that's what people call it. Squidward torture porn episodes, where he's just tormented by SpongeBob and Patrick throughout the whole episode, when in said episode, Squidward didn't even fucking do anything to even deserve said treatment. Yeah, I mean, even as a kid, I didn't find those episodes particularly funny. Like that episode where Squidward wanted to go to choir practice, and SpongeBob did everything in his power to disrupt him going to choir practice. And yeah, I felt, even as a kid, I found that episode to be very grating. The older we get, the more we relate to Squidward. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say that. And I guess it's true to an extent, at least in my case. Even when I was a kid, I felt more like I related to SpongeBob, and now I'm older, I feel like I relate more to Squidward a lot more. You know, always grumpy, pessimistic. And I mean, you can't really blame me if you're feeling that way. I mean, fucking look at the current events in this country and world in general. My favorite SpongeBob character has always been Patrick, but Squidward is a close second. Yeah, Patrick's really funny. Jellyfishing, jellyfishing, jellyfishing. I remember that jellyfishing episode that, or it wasn't jellyfishing episode. It was the one where Sandy was about to go to hibernation and had the Pantera episode featured Pantera. Reason I bring that up is because that song starts off with a sound clip of SpongeBob and Patrick saying jellyfishing, and my dad had that saved on his computer when I was a kid. I just randomly put that on one day, and I was like, "Oh shit, that song was in SpongeBob." And my dad was like, "Pantera was in SpongeBob? No fucking way!" I thought I was lying. I never liked the Good Neighbors or Choir Boys episodes. What was Good Neighbors about again? I get kind of nostalgic when I see old SpongeBob episodes. It's really only the first 3 seasons I give a shit about. I mean, there's some good episodes after the movie. I'm not one of those people who says the show went completely to shit after the movie. And there are some good episodes after the movie. But, when it comes to, episodes I go back to, I really just go back to the, episodes that were in the first 3 seasons. Band Geeks is the best SpongeBob episode, and that's a fact, you can't change my mind. I mean, Squidward having a good ending and Squilliam for once was, outshined by Squidward. That alone makes it my favorite episode. I fucking hated Squilliam when I was a kid. I remember in Frying Nemo, a video by Emblem, and there was a scene where Marlin does a sea Kyle, and Nemo is afraid of Obama. Even as someone who used to love Emblem, and I always hated these jokes. Um, I saw some of Emblemon's YouTube poops before he became a commentary channel. When I was a kid, and I remember enjoying some of them. I mean, he doesn't seem like the best person today, so perhaps those jokes were a little more than just jokes. I mean, I'm not the most well versed in his content, but I still don't really care for him as a person because again, he's had really short-sighted takes. Like again, racism is just an idea, so therefore we shouldn't pay attention to it. Again, brilliant line of thinking that totally didn't play a part in, the political climate we're in now. My favorite SpongeBob character is SpongeBob himself. Yeah, I was almost going to say SpongeBob, but then I was like, yeah, it's Squidward I relate to more these days. The writing wasn't the best for a lot of the first movie seasons. Pretty much just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what would stick. Well, I mean, Hillenberg left after the movie. He was, I'm pretty sure he was head writer in the first few seasons. So they're kind of the show was kind of directionless without him. So I'm sure there was a lot of just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what would stick. Hillenberg wanted the show to end after the movie, and honestly, the movie would have been a great end to the show. But alas, the show is still going on almost 30 years later. I remember when Emp Lemon made that video whining about behind the meme. Yeah. I remember that behind the meme drama. What the fuck ever happened to that guy? I remember he made these inoffensive videos explaining memes, and I actually watched some of those videos back in the day because there would be some memes. I'd be like, what the fuck is this? Why are people repeating this? And where did it come from? What does it mean? And I found the videos kind of informative. Again, they were really just inoffensive videos explaining the origins of memes and, what exactly they mean. And I didn't mind the videos. Even back then, I was like, I think this whole crusade is fucking stupid. I didn't make a video about it. I probably should have back then. But I was like, this whole crusade is fucking stupid. Like, just ignore the guy's videos. It's not like he's contributing to any harm. Just making these again inoffensive videos explaining memes and where they came from. I don't see why people are so up in arms. I think I even brought behind the meme up in a stream back in like 2017, and I was saying, why do people give this much of a shit about this guy's content? He's not doing anything wrong. In fact, I find some of his videos to be informative if I want to know more about a meme and where it came from and what does it mean. And I think I remember some people in the chat getting pissed off at me. And I was like, okay, give me a good reason why this guy's channel shouldn't exist. And I don't think anyone gave me a sufficient reason. It was all just, oh, Implement told me this guy's content is shit, so therefore I gotta follow whatever Implement says because that's the cool position to take. Rabbits are my favorite animals because they're cute creatures. I just love how energetic and playful they are. I don't know anyone with a pet rabbit. Um, I don't think I've interacted with rabbits before on very few occasions. Um, Personally, my favorite animals are cats. I mean, I was best friends with a cat for 15 years, and I have a cat now that I love and adore very much. And my whole life I've been around cats. So just kind of by default, my cats are my favorite animals. I know I told you about your favorite animals last stream, but I'd like to hear your reasons on why you love cats so much. Oh, well, you just got your answer. I've been around cats my whole life, and I had Charlie for 15 years. That I adored him, and he was essentially my best friend. You know, I had a I had a very strong connection to him, and I have a strong connection with my cat Pink now. So there. That's why I love cats so much. Purely personal reasons, but really, what other reasons could you give? I would say they're probably good pest control, but Charlie didn't really kill that many bugs and rats. He wasn't that kind of cat. Pink is though. I remember like a month or two ago there was a spider crawling on one of the walls downstairs and Pink killed it. She ate it. Good girl. Good Neighbors was the security system that takes control of Squidward's house episode. Oh, yeah, I think I remember that episode. That was another episode where Squidward got really unfair treatment that wasn't deserved at all. SpongeBob and Patrick pissing him off the entire time, and Squidward, at least from what I remember, didn't do anything that would even justify that sort of treatment in that episode. Good Neighbors was about Squidward trying to have a fun Sunday, and SpongeBob and Patrick ruined it. Yeah. I would say if I were Squidward, I would just move the fuck out of that neighborhood away from SpongeBob and Patrick. But we already got that episode, and we saw why that wasn't good for Squidward. He needs some of that chaos in his life. Yeah, I know what Good Neighbors is about now. I don't need 3 comments telling me the plot synopsis of that episode. Band Geeks is peak. Yeah. I mean, I can't think of a better SpongeBob episode. I mean, again, the satisfying as fuck ending alone, and the song "Sweet Victory." That's the. I mean, do I need to say more about why that's the best SpongeBob episode? I was at a dentist the other day and I saw some SpongeBob episodes. Oh, well, do they have Nick on? It's been a long, 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 long time since I took a peek at Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network for that matter. I would assume Nickelodeon is still showing SpongeBob like 30 times a day and Cartoon Network showing Teen Titans Go for the same amount of time that day. I would assume. I don't know. I mean, at this point, we have streaming services now, and you could watch episodes of whatever show you want on piracy sites. I don't really see much of a reason to complain about network scheduling anymore. My favorite animal is cats, especially because of my Russian blue cat named Sheldon. I had a fish named Sheldon when I was a kid. He was a beta fish. That fish lived for a while. Well, not for a while. I mean, longer than we thought that fish was going to live. I had that fish for like a year, and then one day woke up. He was uh, he was dead. The first time I experienced the loss of a pet, I was really sad. I was really bummed out. I liked that fish. Sheldon is very lovely and affectionate and never hisses at me, my mom or my sister. Yeah. Charlie was the same way. Well, he hissed, but at other cats, not towards me or any of my family though. My favorite of the main characters bounces between Patrick, Squidward, and Mr. Krabs, but I also like a lot of the other side characters, such as Larry, Flying Dutchman, and Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. Evil. Rest in peace to the voices of Mermaid Man, Ernest Borgnine, and Barnacle Boy Tim Conway. Oh yeah, Tim Conway died too some years ago. Also on the Carol Burnett show, I believe. Yeah, I haven't seen very many SpongeBob episodes that have aired after Ernest Borgnine's death, or I don't think I've seen any SpongeBob episodes that have aired after, or SpongeBob episodes that feature Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy's death after Ernest Borgnine died. So I don't know what. whoever replacement actor replaced him sounds like, and I especially don't know what um, the replacement actor for Barnacle Boys original VA sounds like, or if they even still have the characters in the show. I imagine they do. What's the show gonna do when Tom Kenny or Patrick's voice actor or Mr. Krabs' voice actor, or any other voice actor for any of the other major characters pass away? I mean, they're all getting up there in years, aren't they? How old is Tom Kenny? 62. Thought it was already like in his late 60s, honestly. Here's Patrick's voice actor. Yeah, Bill Fager Bach, or however you pronounce his last name. 67. Well, he's getting up there in years. I mean, I would imagine the. I mean, if either Tom Kenny or Patrick's voice actor died, I would say that's the end of the show. But Nickelodeon is probably just gonna try to replace them. I don't know how well that would go over though. May they still have much more life to live though, or how they could retire. That's not out of the question either. I mean, they don't necessarily have to die if they to stop voicing those characters. People treat memes in such a sacred regard when they have the lifespan of a mayfly. Yeah, like ever since the whole crypto scam controversy, I don't really hear much of the Hawktwa meme anymore. I think the Hawktwa girl, Haley, I think her name is, disappeared since that was revealed to be a scam anyway. So yeah, I assume that's the death of the meme. That had a little more staying power though than I thought it would initially, admittedly. I honestly think people like M. Lemon are in part to blame for the political climate we have now. Yeah, I mean, people like him were sanitizing and normalizing bigotry and extremism. So I have no doubt that content creators like him, played some part in the political climate we're in currently. I currently have two rabbits. Sadly, one of them had to live in a hutch. My first rabbit was a lop rabbit, and my second one was a black rabbit. I've had a brown rabbit who sadly ran away. Oh, that sucks. I've never had a pet run away, though there was a time a few months ago when Pink ran out of the house and we're looking for her all day, and she ended up just being in my neighbor's yard. I actually thought, holy shit, may have lost her. And that made me really upset because, obviously Pink couldn't replace Charlie, but she was one of the few bright spots in 2024 for me because, as you probably know, 2024 was otherwise a very dismal year for me, and she was one of the few bright spots of that year. And in a way, that would have really fucked me up. She didn't run very far at all. My favorite SpongeBob episode is either Band Geeks, Chocolate with Nuts, or Pizza Delivery, and those are two other very classic SpongeBob episodes as well. But Well, chocolate with nuts might actually be my second favorite SpongeBob episode. I don't know. I don't have a clear ranking besides Band of Geeks being my favorite. Chocolate with nuts is a fantastic episode too. Hilarious episode on top of that. Behind the Meme probably got more backlash than James Somerton, which is bullshit in my opinion. Well, I don't really know what happened to Behind the Meme after that whole controversy happened, and by controversy, I mean people just didn't like him making videos explaining meme origins and what certain memes mean and all that shit, and all that very innocuous shit that people took very seriously for some goddamn reason. It's really nice seeing people now, and it's not even just in this chat. I've seen some other people be like, I was a teenager or a kid in 2017, and I gave Behind the Meme a lot of grief. And looking back at that, that was really fucking stupid. Very validating because even back then, I thought that bullshit was really fucking stupid. James Somerton, I don't know what the fuck he's up to these days after his Twitter all got exposed. And apparently he was posting pictures of his asshole on the Twitter account. And thank God, by the time I found that, by the time I checked that Twitter profile he had, those pictures were deleted. Chocolate with nuts because of the chocolate guy. Chocolate. David Bowie was in a SpongeBob episode, but his character didn't sing. Yeah, the Atlantis episode, Atlantis SquarePantis. They probably didn't want to pay him extra to sing. Apparently, he did that episode because his daughter at the time really liked SpongeBob, and he would watch it with her, and he liked the show, and he was like, "Yeah, why not make an appearance on the show?" Too bad it was on that episode that wasn't very good. Hello, Yiko Punk. How you doing? My favorite SpongeBob episode is Born Again Crabs. What was that one about again? My favorite animal are alligators. Yeah, alligators are cool, I suppose, but I wouldn't go near them. Makes me kind of angry how Nick treats their other cartoons. What other cartoons does Nickelodeon even have? There's SpongeBob they play all day, and that's really about it, right? Well, Nickelodeon has that other show with the kid who lives in a big house or some shit with a bunch of other kids or whatever. Uh, the something house or whatever it's called. I've heard about that in recent years, but I haven't seen a single second of that show. So I think that's Nickelodeon, or I don't think it's Cartoon Network or Disney Channel that show is on. I remember Adventure Time was supposed to be on Nickelodeon, and they turned that down. Though, probably in hindsight, it's best that Adventure Time wasn't on Nickelodeon. Used to like that show as a kid, but stopped watching around the time I hit my teen years. That's when I stopped watching cartoon channels. Nicktoons has pretty much become a 24/7 SpongeBob channel. Also, just like the main channel, then. Tea at Tree Dome was a good episode from SpongeBob. Water. I had the same issues with the company that made Happy Tree Friends, Mondo Media. ever since Happy Tree Friends gained popularity somewhere in 2002. I thought that show was from the mid 2000s. Mondo's other classic shows were thrown under the bus. Maybe I know other shows made by that same company, but I only know Happy Tree Friends. I watched some of those videos when I was a kid. I remember being terrified by them when I was a little kid. I remember watching some of those episodes later on as a teenager and finding them funny. I just like the juxtaposition that the show is like deceptively cute and cuddly, and then you see these cute and cuddly animals get fucking mangled and disfigured and it's amusing though. I had two pet fish when I was a kid, one named Biggie Fish and another named Billy Bob. Those are cool fish names. Hold on, let me change my position. Ooh, a little more comfortable now. Oh, Metallica shirt. I got this somewhat recently. And Justice for All shirt. The only the only way I listened to And Justice for All these last several years were through YouTube uploads that had bass to the tracks. I can't even listen to the regular album anymore. I need that bass. It's a fantastic album that unfortunately gets weighed down quite a bit from the lack of bass anyway. Now, Mondo isn't as money motivated as the more corporate companies, as far as I know, but it's still irritating because Happy Tree Friends are always telling Mondo, make more Happy Tree Friends. This show is crap. Well, I didn't even know Happy Tree Friends is still going. Figured that ended years ago. Tom Kenny's SpongeBob laugh has changed a lot recently, and the voice is deeper a bit too. Well, I played that SpongeBob game that came out a few years ago, Cosmic Shake, and he sounds noticeably different in that game. More hoarse, the voice sounds a little deeper. I mean, Tom Kenny's getting older. He can't be. I'd imagine he can't do that high pitched voice forever. It's amazing he's maintained that voice for as long as he did, though. But the just saw the dude's in his 60s now. You know, voices naturally change as they get older. Tom Kenny is a legendary voice actor, though. For SpongeBob, my favorite episode would be the Graveyard Shift. I remember that one. Hash slinging slasher. Tom Kenny voiced Eduardo from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, he's voiced a shit ton of characters from shows that I watched as a child. That's why I say he's a legend, legendary voice actor. Every time I see rabbits, I just smile and say bunny. Is Pink named after Pink Floyd? Yes, she is. I have another cat named Floyd that I got in 2024. So I named my no Pink Floyd I got in 2023 actually. I still think 2023 is just a year ago. No, Floyd is going to be 2 in a few months, and Pink I got last year. Floyd was a stray. He was a stray kitten. We had a cat in the backyard that was giving birth, and he was one of those cats, and we took him in. Pink is a cat we adopted. She was born from a stray too, and then someone took her in to provide her a home until she got a permanent home, and we adopted her from that guy, and I've had her since June. Her real birthday is April 8th or April 9th. We have papers in a china closet downstairs that has her birthday on it. So her birthday's coming up relatively soon. She's getting bigger. She's still very much a kitten though. Still has a shitload of energy. Uh, where did I leave off? Chat, and for whatever reason jumped down to the bottom. Always annoying when it does that. They'll probably go with a sound alike when Charles Martinet retired and Kevin Afghani took over. And I played Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and the replacement does a good enough job, but there's never going to be another Charles Martinet. I thought for sure Charles Martinet would be doing the Mario voice until he died. And I'm pretty sure he even said that he would do the Mario voice until he dies, but you know what? He's well within his right to retire. I'm currently binging an old Disney XD cartoon or a sitcom called I'm in the Band. It's absolutely hilarious. I never watched Disney when I was a kid. It was always Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network I watched, but never Disney for whatever reason. The most I've ever watched to Disney was when I was at a cousin's house and he had Disney Channel on and Kim Possible was on and I watched some of that. Wasn't really paying attention to it though. Most I know about that show is it's a high school girl that's a spy and she does spy shit or whatever. Yeah, that's just what they happen to have on the TV. I think Kevin does a pretty good job. Well, he does do a good job. I mean, obviously they're not going to find someone who sounds exactly like Charles Martinet, but the replacement does a good enough job. I'm not giving him any shit. Haven't played the Mario games with Kevin Afghani in them. Well, the only Mario game I know for sure has Kevin Afghani in it is Mario Bros. Wonder, and I played that last year. Should replay it one of these days. I don't know if he's probably appeared in some other games already. I'm not sure though. I'm all right. You? I'm doing all right. Right before this stream, I was shopping, so that's why this stream is. I'm doing this stream late, but oh well, whatever. Some things take, like I said at the beginning of the stream, certain things take precedence over doing a stream while laying down in bed. Gorillas are my favorite animal. Very chill and funny. I've never I've only been to a zoo once in my life. There were some gorillas there. And, yeah, it was a class trip when I was in elementary school. Nick has the loud house. That's what that show is called. I always confuse it with the other one, Owl House or whatever it's called. The show with the lesbian couple or whatever. They both have similar names. Both shows I have never seen, so I always confuse those two a lot. When I'm sure, besides the similar sounding names, they have absolutely nothing in common. The most I know about that show is again it has a lesbian couple, and I've seen conservatives melt down over that, including 1 Million Moms. I think they had an article about that, but I wasn't interested in making that into a video. I have listened to Kevin's Mario voice through a video comparing Kevin and Charles. Yeah, I've Again, there's always going to be one definitive Mario voice in my book, and that's obviously Charles Martinet's Mario voice. But no disrespect to the guy who replaced him. I mean, those are some really big shoes to fill, but he does a good enough job. I've only watched a little bit of it, but I remember the creator Chris Savino got the boot because he had a history of sexual misconduct allegations come out against him. Ooh, yeah, I remember hearing about that. I mostly know Chris Savino. I think he took over Powerpuff Girls after Craig McCracken left the show. And that's when the show went to shit. So I already didn't have a much of a high opinion on the guy from that. But obviously that's horrible. Savino also worked on the 1998 Powerpuff Girls. Yeah, again, I think he became the showrunner after McCracken left. He was probably already there before McCracken left, but I know he took over the show after he left. Thank Lars for lack of bass. Well, the rest of the band also decided to go along with lack of bass, so I'll throw some shade at them too. Happy Tree Friends had two recent episodes, but they didn't do well as they did in the 2000s to 2010s, but I still quite like them. Yeah, again, I didn't think they were still making those episodes. I thought that series ended long ago. I currently have two dogs, both of which are Pomeranians. Uh, yeah, I mean, I've said it before. Dogs aren't my thing. Doesn't mean I hate dogs. Doesn't mean I want to see dogs harmed. I actually had someone say that to me once. You don't like dogs? What does that mean? You want to see a dog harmed? And I'm like, no. It's like I just find them annoying. Same thing with kids. I've had people ask me about that when it comes to kids too. Oh, you hate kids, so does that mean you don't care if a kid gets abused or harmed? And I'm like, no. Like just because I find a creature or a baby or a kid annoying doesn't mean I want to see harm done upon it. I think that says more about you than it does about me if your mind is going to automatically think that. I'll go to that. Afghani has also appeared in all the later games, but the Mario vs. Donkey Kong game recycled Martinet's lines, and the Dark Moon port used the 3DS lines again. Yeah, ports I expect will probably still use Martinet's voice. But of course, any new entry is going to have the new guy. Should Charles have voiced Mario in the movie, or do you not mind it was Chris Pratt? I don't know if Charles Martinet's Mario voice would have carried a whole movie, but at the same time, I guess I'm going against the grain. I know a lot of people liked Chris Pratt's Mario voice, but I wasn't really a big fan. When I wasn't really a big fan of Chris Pratt's Mario voice. I didn't really care for any of the voices besides Bowser's. Jack Black, Jack Black really pleasantly surprised me with his Bowser role because when I first heard that Jack Black was going to play Bowser in that movie, I was immediately like, "Oh, really?" I thought he was gonna, talk in his regular voice, regular Jack Black voice like he does for every character. But no, he really put the work in for Bowser, and that was really nice. And I'm happy I was wrong in that instance. Chris Savino also worked on the later seasons of Dexter's Lab. The later seasons of Dexter's Lab were also shit. which were pretty similar in quality to the PBG seasons he was working on at the time. So I guess the guy is known for ruining shows he takes over. But I heard that one show, the Loud House or whatever it's called, was good or is good. I don't know if it's still going or not. So I guess the guy was better at original shows than taking over other people's already established shows. Too bad he's a shitbag, though. I like dogs, but I don't like them as much as rabbits. Let's see. My friend last year had to put down his dog. I ranted about that dog before, and both the dog rants I did. Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend that I didn't find the dog annoying when it was alive, but it mm, had a hiccup. Sorry. It was still really sad though. My friend was really distraught over his dog passing away. I mean, his dog was in really bad shape in like the last month of its life. He had that dog since he was like 9 years old. He got that dog as a present, I think, for his birthday around 2010, I believe. And that dog was a puppy back then. So he pretty much grew up with that dog, much like how I grew up with Charlie. So I can very much relate to the pain losing an animal you've grown really close to. Chris Savino also took over Dexter's Lab. Yes, I know. I met Charles Martinet. He's a nice guy. Oh, that's cool. I'm trying to save up for Baltimore Comic Con this year, so I may get to meet many famous voice actors. Yeah, that sounds fun. Conventions aren't my thing personally. Ew, all those people in one cramped space. Not for me. But no, I know some people who go to conventions, and they usually have a very fun time meeting voice actors and such, and dressing up in cosplay or whatever the fuck. Savino also became a born again Christian after the allegations too. Huh? Yeah, that's what a lot of these fuckbags do after they have serious allegations levied against them. That's when they're conveniently a born again Christian or conveniently MAGA. Like Elon, he got hit with sexual misconduct allegations a few years ago, and that's when he finally fully came out as a Republican. And a lot of these fucking idiots fall for it. That's why a lot of these people um do these grifts where they're born again Christians or all of a sudden conservatives because they know your average conservative, average hyper religious conservative is very easy to it's very easy to manipulate. My favorite animated movie is Shrek. First one, I assume. Yeah, but my favorite Shrek movie is the first one as well. Everyone says the second one, but my personal favorite has always been the first one. My favorite animated movie is Spirited Away. I don't believe I've ever heard of that movie. Ollie London is also on the born again Christian D-trans grift. Yeah, I know they were a trans person who much like Blair White, only sought to validate transphobia and anti-trans bigotry in general. I didn't know they're doing the whole D-trans grift now. I wonder if it'll ever come to a point where we'll see Blair White do that. Because now I've noticed the conservatives are turning on her. It's only going to get worse from here. I mean, MAGA is getting increasingly masked off with their bigotry and genocidal rhetoric, with trans people especially. And I don't feel bad for her at all. She made her bed and now she's lying in it. She chose for years to pander to transphobes, and her entire online identity has been to validate transphobia as a conventionally attractive, passing trans woman. But now the leopards are coming to eat her face, and no sympathy from me. My favorite animated movie has to be Turning Red. How could you like Turning Red? It took place in 2002 and it makes no mention of 9/11. Automatically a garbage movie. Ali London also got a bunch of surgeries to look like Jimin from BTS as well. And I heard that person was trying to resemble some K-pop star or whatever. BTS, that's a group I haven't heard of in a long time. Remember the K-pop craze being really big some years ago, and that kind of, well, I wouldn't say it completely faded away. I'm sure K-pop is still big, but I don't really hear about it as much as I used to. I mean, I remember like in 2020 or 2021 or whatever, Twitter was just infested with K-pop fan cams, and they would even be under tweets that have fuck all to do with K-pop, and you would see these fan cam replies. I never really got that whole shit though. I mean, it's not just with K-pop. I've seen it with other popular artists like Taylor Swift and such. You know, these annoying teenagers wanting to shoehorn their favorite artists even under posts that have fucking nothing to do with their favorite artists or favorite actors or favorite celebrities in general. Really annoying trend. I don't know if that shit still happens on Twitter. Um, Maybe it does, but I wouldn't fucking know because I don't look at Twitter anymore because I don't need that trash heap in my life anymore. Especially after its owner did a fucking sea Kyle on Inauguration Day. No, thank you. Turning Red takes place in 2002 in Canada. That's no excuse. It's reference 9/11. Yeah, that fucking Mr. Enter video I'm referencing. That's the last time I paid attention to Mr. Enter, I believe. I I dipped when he made a video around the time the pandemic started, where he was downplaying the pandemic, saying essentially, "Well, if old people catch coronavirus, well, they're probably gonna die soon anyway." You know, just yeah. That was a really gross video, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna fucking watch this guy anymore." Screw Twitter, never had it, never will. Yeah, well, I guess you're lucky to have never had Twitter in your life. I used Twitter for years up until, well, I stopped looking at Twitter semi regularly. I kind of stopped looking at Twitter around the time I got a Blue Sky code. I joined Blue Sky back when you needed an invite code to join. That was when the site was still in beta, technically. What was that like? I think around June of 2023, I joined Blue Sky, somewhere around there. And I mean, immediately I liked the vibe. Back when I joined, Blue Sky was very barren, but even still, I would take a barren wasteland over the toxicity on Twitter. But ever since Blue Sky really shot up in popularity, really popped off, especially after the election, I've really liked the vibe. A lot less toxic than Twitter is. And no, I'm not calling it X. You know, I don't. I choose not to call it X too. I left Twitter months ago due to how fascist it has become because of Elon. Yeah, I mean, I see no value unless, of course, you're a right winger. I see no value in looking at Twitter anymore. It's just hatred. It's just nothing but hatred and toxicity. I don't know why anyone would want that shit in their life. Like, it got to a point where any tweet I read that had a significant amount of engagement, almost guaranteed I was going to read the dumbest fucking replies directly under said tweet and get pissed off and I'd be like, what the fuck is the point in paying attention to this? I mean, Twitter is doing nothing for my mental health aside from just being a negative force on my mental health. So why should I even bother looking at this site anymore? And that was when Blue Sky was starting to, gain traction, and I was already not posting on Twitter anymore. I've been posting on Blue Sky primarily since 2023. So I still have Twitter on my phone. I mean, there are some instances where I still look at Twitter, like just last night, for example. Um, the YouTube app, like 2 in the morning, wasn't working for me. Every video I would go on, it would say an error has occurred or whatever. Tap to try again, and the videos wouldn't load up. And I went on Twitter to see if anyone else was having this issue. And then I looked at the YouTube subreddit. I got more answers on the YouTube subreddit because when I searched up YouTube, I mean on Twitter, and then I sorted the tweets by latest, it was all just these bots posting in different languages. They were very obviously fake profiles. So even on that front, to see if a website is down or not, for other people, Twitter is fucking useless. Maybe the next time Twitter will be useful for me is whenever a video of mine gets taken down again and the appeal gets rejected and then I go to Team YouTube as a Hail Mary. Because as far as I know, the YouTube hasn't set up any Blue Sky profiles yet. My favorite Shrek movie is also the first one. Fun fact, I was born in August 2001, 3 months after Shrek 1 came out. I was born in March of 2001, and I've said this before, but my parents did take me as an infant to go see Shrek, and I saw Shrek 2 in theaters. I have very vague memories of seeing that movie in theaters. I saw Shrek 3 in theaters, and I saw the final Shrek movie in theaters with some friends that I had in elementary school at the time. So I saw all four Shrek movies when they were in theaters, even though obviously I have no memory of seeing the first Shrek movie in theaters because I was just like month and a half old. And the replies are often AI bots with blue checks on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's really no reason to look at that site anymore because 9 times out of 10, you're not even reading replies and tweets from real people. If you're, looking at tweets that aren't from people you already know are real people, like those who you're following. So I'm like, what the fuck is the point in going on this site anymore and reading shit that one I know is going to piss me off, two is more than likely not even written by a real fucking person, just bots looking to engagement farm by getting as many people angry as possible. Again, it's just a hotbed of toxicity I want fucking nothing to do with. Never liked Twitter that much to begin with anyway. Can't access my old account as it's connected to an old phone number. Good timing, I guess. Yeah, there's really nothing you're missing on in that shithole. There's there's no reason to salvage your old lost account. Have you heard of Michael Sarah? No, I don't think I have. Blue Sky has a bot problem too, though. I've noticed for some accounts that are very obviously bots following me. I go on their profiles and they're like only a day old and they're already following like 100,000 fucking people. No way. Accounts like those are ran by real people. I mean, I don't really care all that much. I mean, let them follow me. I really don't give that much of a shit. I don't interact with them. They don't interact with me because, well, they're bots. But I do hope that well, I think Blue Sky has said they're trying to address the bot problem, but unfortunately, it's probably too big of a problem to completely fix. Every major social media site now are being flooded with bots. I mean, look at YouTube. A lot of comment sections under popular videos. A lot of the comments are from these like blank channels with usernames that's a first name and a last name and a shit ton of numbers at the end. A lot of those people are very obviously bots, or a lot of bots pretending to be this attractive woman and their profile picture is very obviously stolen, or their profile pictures of some woman's ass that they probably stole off someone's OnlyFans page. So obviously it's not just a Twitter problem, but I would say the bot problem is probably at its worst on Twitter. It's a problem that infests every social media site, and it's so fucking depressing now that it's pretty much a coin flip whether or not you're interacting with a real person. If that if that person you're talking to isn't someone you already trust as a real person. He's best known for super bad the Scott Pilgrim movie, and Juno. Three movies I've never seen. I know that one guy was on super bad though. Um Seth Rogen was his name. I know him. He's really famous. The other guy, Michael, I don't think I've heard of him. Because again, I haven't watched any of those three movies. I was suspicious with these Palestine accounts on Tumblr if they're bots or not. They seem to be posting the same things, such as "my family is in poor condition," but I'm not sure if they're real. Well, I wouldn't doubt Tumblr has a bot problem too. I haven't really thought much of Tumblr. I never used Tumblr to begin with, and I figured Tumblr just kind of lost all relevancy it once had after they banned porn off the platform. Can't wait for Shrek 5. Oh yeah, there's a fifth Shrek movie supposedly coming. We'll see if it's good or not. I mean, maybe I have some obligation to see Shrek 5 in theaters because, again, I saw all four Shrek movies when they were in theaters, so why not see the fifth one in theaters? Even though I don't really like theaters all that much, especially if it's a kids' movie, because obviously a bunch of little kids are in the auditorium making sounds and throwing food. It's not like it's not like the adults in movie theaters are that hygienic either. I think the last time I went to a movie theater was in 2016. It was to see a Captain America movie, which I usually don't give a shit about Marvel shit, but I've heard friends talk about that movie and I was interested in seeing it. Don't remember much about that movie though. But this inconsiderate asshole who was sitting right by me got a phone call, and then he actually picked up the fucking phone and was talking for like 2 minutes. Like, if you get a phone call during a movie and you're in a movie theater, I would think it's common sense to step out of the fucking theater and take your phone call outside. But no, that dude just decided to fucking talk on his phone while other people are trying to watch a movie. I hate porn anyways. I always find it gross. Well, I'm indifferent when it comes to porn. I mean, I don't really watch it anymore because I've been able to recognize that it's done more harm than good in my life, so I mostly cut it out of my life. But I'm not one of those people, and I'm not saying you're one of these people either. I'm just saying in general, I'm not one of those people who are like we need to ban porn because I think that's a really fucking stupid position. I just remembered that I had a dream about the Mario movie sequel earlier today or a couple of nights ago. Yeah, there's a sequel that's supposed to come, right? I mean, I'm not surprised. There's like what, five Sonic movies out now. It's probably gonna be cranking out Mario movies too, like there are with Sonic. Shrek 5, Jesus, a long time for a sequel. Yeah, I mean Shrek 4 came out when I was still in elementary school. It came out in like what, 2009? So, well, I don't know if Shrek 5's coming this year, but that would be at least 16 years in between the last Shrek movie and this upcoming Shrek movie. And Shrek 4 was branded as the final Shrek movie, but here we are. Um, we're getting a fifth one apparently because nostalgia sells. The Mario movie sequel is coming out in 2026. Yeah, that would make it 3 years after the original came out. I mean, I might watch it. I don't know. I didn't even watch the Mario movie in theaters or streaming services for that matter. Someone uploaded the whole movie on my Discord server. I forget who uploaded the whole thing though, but credit to that person who did it. That's how I watched it. And it was one of those uploads of someone pointing a camera at the screen in the theater, but it was actually a high quality upload, so I wasn't complaining, and you'd hear the movie clearly too. So yeah, I've also seen all four Shrek movies in theaters too. My mom saw Shrek 1 when she was pregnant with me. Well, I was already out of the womb, so I was actually there in the theater physically. It's cool seeing a fellow 2001 baby in the chat. Seems like everyone else I talk to online is either a few years younger or a few years older than me. Though I guess it is rather unfortunate being born in 2001 when that year is so. It's probably best known for a certain terrorist attack that occurred in September of that year. Nostalgia and Hollywood milks movie franchises till it has a movie that sucks. Yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't like nostalgia. I don't really like this, how people like to paint the past with nothing but sunflowers and roses. Never made sense to me. What also doesn't make sense to me are all these channels trying to have like a 2000s aesthetic. They like purposely buy shitty webcams to make their videos look like they were actually recorded in like 2008 or some shit. They're trying to go for like that nostalgia aesthetic, that mid to late 2000s nostalgia aesthetic. Always found it to be kind of stupid. I mean, it's fine to reminisce about your past, but some people are just so consumed by their nostalgia where it's like almost their entire fucking personality. I'm just like, yeah, the 2000s were fun, but they're over. They've been over for a long time. I don't see any sense in dwelling in the past more than I should. Amy from the Sonic Boom cartoon said it best. Studios should stop recycling the same tired, old properties and make something original for once. I love 90s to 2000 stuff, but sometimes you just have to stop living in the past. Yeah, again, I just don't really like nostalgia at all. I still hate the way web designs look now, though. Yeah, I mean that's something else I don't like, the oversimplification of logos and web pages and designs. Things look more unique back then, but at the same time, I mean, it's nothing I really dwell on all that much. I think the worst offender of an oversimplified logo is probably Patreons. The original Patreon logo was nice and distinctive, and then they replaced it with that other logo that looks like a coin being tossed into a slot, which I didn't like as much as the first logo, but it was still clever. And then they replaced it with this logo that just looks like a fucking stain on a table. I don't know what the fuck they're going with that design, but it looks stupid and ugly. It doesn't really matter to me either way because I don't fucking use Patreon. I don't have a Patreon for this channel because I know no one would donate to it. And I don't donate to anyone else's Patreons. We should live in the present. If we don't do something in the present, we will have nothing to look back on. Yeah, that's wise. I mean, again, I'm not against reminiscing on the past every so often. I do that. I mean, I look back to my childhood or teenage years and think back, at some fun memories I had during those years. And sometimes, I mean, I fall for the trap sometimes. I'm like, wouldn't it be nice to be a teenager again and talk to all the friends that I had back then that I don't speak to anymore, and and just be reminded of how you know of how boring my life is now. But then I snap out of it and I'm like, well, that was in the past and it's behind me. There's nothing I can do. I can't magically warp back to the past. I don't have a time machine or any of that shit. So there's nowhere to look but forward. Again, cherish the nice memories you had in the past, especially when it's like memories of my grandma or of Charlie, my pet, my grandmother, who aren't in my life anymore because they have since passed away. I, of course, cherish memories surrounding them, but, in general, I don't really like dwelling on the past all that much. I also hate it when corporations try to be hip and cool with the kids. It's so stupid and laughable. Yeah, I mean that's the reason why that meme with Steve Buscemi saying "How do you do, fellow kids?" is so popular because of all these brands that try to be hip with the kids. They try to use memes to be relatable with the kids, and it always comes off as so inauthentic because these are obviously brands trying to appeal to you so they can make more money off of you and make more money off of impressionable kids by trying to appeal to them. And it's just so obvious and everyone sees through it. And I don't even know why these brands continue to try to be hip and cool when they're really not. Because again, it seems like everyone sees through that. Whoa. An hour and 52 minutes I've been streaming for. Wow. Time flies when you're having fun, I suppose. This stream has been fun. I shouldn't say I suppose. It's almost 9 o'clock at night. Wow. I'm actually getting kind of hungry. I haven't had dinner yet. I usually eat around this time since I wake up so late. Breakfast at like 3 in the afternoon, so I'm not hungry again until like 8 o'clock or 9. But I'll stream for the usual 2 hours and heading close to the 2 hour mark. That reminds me of the comment waste bin video where you showed McDonald's saying Grizz. Yeah, that was in that I believe that was in that comment waste bin video where I featured comments and posts that were shared in my stupid comments channel on my Discord server. Maybe I'll do that again whenever the fuck I reach the 20th episode or video or whatever you want to call it of the comment waste bin. I actually plan on doing one of those videos again relatively soon. I think I have enough comments for another one. The issue is most corporations are run by old out of touch people, not young people. Well, yeah, that's the crux of the problem. These old, out of touch people trying to relate with the youth and failing miserably. It's fun to laugh at now, but then, before you know it, you're the old, out of touch person the youth is making fun of. Isn't that a fun thought? To think next year I'll turn 25 and I would officially be a quarter through my life. I mean, I shouldn't start with the old talk now, or any talk of feeling old, because I think that's kind of stupid to say when you're in your 20s. I mean, I've seen some people say that, and I'm like, just wait until you're like 55. I mean, that'll probably come before you know it. Enjoy your 20s while you're still in them, and that's what I mean, I'm not the most active person. I'm not really, an outgoing person or anything, but that's just how I choose to live my life, and that's how I'm enjoying my life right now. What's this Twitter or Discord notification? Kanye keeps getting worse. Content warning, anti-Semitism, F slur. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all that Kanye West would tweet something anti-Semitic. Not like he's been doing that for the last 2 years. Again, I don't really want to pay attention to this latest Kanye West meltdown because it's probably just more of the same shit. Him saying that he's Jesus, him tweeting Nazi shit, praising Hitler. I mean, he's already had this mental breakdown before. It's kind of sad to see though, because the dude is very obviously not well. And I mean, when you're that rich and famous, you can easily surround yourself with nothing but yes men and enablers, and I'm sure that is all that Kanye's inner circle consists of. I heard he doesn't take his medication because that hinders on the creative process or some shit like that. But let him be a cautionary tale that you should take whatever medication is prescribed to you and recommended to you. I don't think any of you would want to be as out of your mind as Kanye West is. With how much mental health progress I've made, I might finally be an extrovert again like I was pre-COVID. I was never an extrovert. Um, COVID was the lockdown was never something I had that much of an issue with. I mean, it did come to a certain point where I didn't like always being home. I did like physically going to my college campus before COVID, and I was kind of missing that during the lockdown. But that was never something I really felt strongly about. I was never like yearning to go back to my campus. I didn't really mind being cooped up at home most of the time because unless I have to go somewhere, I don't really go out all that much. So I was already used to being mostly cooped up at home. So being someone with really bad social anxiety, That kind of came in clutch during the pandemic. People need to stop giving Kanye attention. Negative publicity is still money and publicity for him. I mean, I made one video about Kanye West some years ago when the first time he was having his Nazi mental health breakdown. I don't think I would make another video about him though. It depends. He would have to say something really egregious. Like even worse than the shit he's already been spewing for me to probably talk about him again. I don't know. Kanye wasn't a bad musician before. He's had his breakdowns though. I mean, I've heard some of his albums, the classic ones like My Dark Fantasy or whatever the fuck it's called, and Graduation, and I mean they're not albums I go back to or anything, but I still thought they were all right. I could definitely see the appeal. I've heard Kanye's music has gone to shit in recent years though. So I guess the whole thing with his medication hindering on the creative process um, really doesn't mean much if you're out of your fucking mind and you're still not releasing good music, at least according to other people. But the dude obviously, at least at one point, had talent. So it's kind of sad to see him just spiral down like this. I mean, what the dude's saying is absolutely abhorrent. I'm not saying, like, I completely sympathize with him, but, I'm just saying he's very obviously not well. And I somewhat sympathize with that aspect of him not being mentally well. I was so busy with Animal Crossing New Horizons, I was occupied with that during the pandemic. I was occupied in the early days of the pandemic. I was playing a lot of Mario Maker 2. I'd play other people's courses, and I think I made it in the top 1,000 players in the online mode, um, normal difficulty. I've probably fallen a lot though, in terms of my ranking, because I don't think I've played Mario Maker since like 2021. It's been a while since I even turned on my Switch. Few months ago, not a few months ago, I think a month ago or maybe 2 months ago, turned on my Switch just to I think just to see if I got any friend requests, and I think I had like two friend requests that were like months old that I only just got to. No hard feelings to those people. Probably not even in chat, but I don't use my Switch a whole lot, so that's why it takes me a long time to get to friend requests on the Switch. I mean, I get some people adding me on PSN, and I'm able to get to that really quickly because one, I use my PlayStation on pretty much a daily basis. Even when I'm not playing games, I'm watching TV shows and movies on it. And I also have the PlayStation app that notifies me that people send friend requests. So that's another reason why I'm much quicker to accept friend requests on there. I remember I encouraged my mom to watch her video about Kanye since she has told me before she hates him. I'm guessing she agreed with the video. I'm guessing she enjoyed it. Maybe. Alright, it's past 9 o'clock. I'm hungry, and it's already over 2 hours anyway. I'm gonna head off now, end the stream. Um, yeah, I've never done a stream this late. This might be something I'll do um next time. Who knows? It depends on if I have to go shopping. Whenever the fuck on I stream next on that day. But my next stream will be sometime in March. When in March, I don't know. I usually just wake up on a whim on a random Friday. I'm like, yeah, I feel like streaming today. Why not? Anyway, this stream has been fun. It's been nice talking to all of you in the chat, and it's always a lot of fun interacting with all of you in the chat. And yeah, I don't really have much else to say for the outro here. So goodbye.